It began with something very small. A single step. A simple choice. And maybe at that moment, it didn't even feel important. But that small step was the start of everything. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Fluent English Journey, where we learn English through real stories, stories that help you not only understand words, but also feel them, live them, and remember them deeply. Today, we are going to talk about something that can change your life and also your English. Something so simple, yet so powerful. We're talking about small steps. Why small steps matter more than big goals. Now, I want you to imagine this. You're standing at the bottom of a mountain. At the top, you can see a flag. That's your dream. Maybe your dream is to speak English fluently. Maybe it's to get a better job, travel, or feel confident when you meet new people. The mountain looks tall. It looks hard to climb. And you might say to yourself, how can I ever reach that? Many people stop right there. They look at the top and feel afraid. Because the goal looks too big. The dream looks too far. And then, they don't take the first step. But what if I told you that every person who has ever climbed a mountain started exactly where you are now? At the bottom. With one small step. Just one. That's how all journeys begin. Not with giant leaps, not with perfect plans, not with big goals written in shiny notebooks, but with one small step forward. Now, let's meet someone who learned this lesson in a very special way. Her name is Maya. She's 24 years old. She works in a small office, and she has a dream to speak English fluently. She wants to travel, maybe study abroad one day, or just be able to talk with confidence in meetings. But she's shy. She's afraid of making mistakes. And every time she listens to someone speaking fast English, she feels lost. Sound familiar? Maybe you felt that way too. One evening, Maya was sitting in her room after work. She opened her English notebook, looked at all the words she had written, and sighed. I've been studying for months, she thought, but I still can't speak. I still freeze when someone talks to me. She closed her book and looked out of the window. Outside, the streetlights were shining softly. And then, she remembered something her teacher once said. Don't think about the big goal, the teacher had told her. Think about the next small step. That idea stayed in her mind. The next small step. So, she asked herself, what's one small thing I can do right now? Just one thing that can help me move forward. She thought for a moment, and then she smiled. I can listen to one short English video. Just 5 minutes. She searched on her phone and found a story, a short one. She listened carefully. She didn't understand every word, but she caught the feeling. She replayed it. She listened again. And again. After 15 minutes, she realized she had already learned 3 new phrases. Her heart felt light. It was a small success, but it made her feel alive. That night, before sleeping, she wrote in her notebook, "Today, I took a small step." The next day, she did it again. And the next day. And soon, something started to change. Her English didn't become perfect overnight, but her confidence started to grow. Her fears started to fade. And her motivation came back. Now, stop for a second and think about this. Why did that happen? Why did a small step make such a big difference? It's because small steps create motion. And motion creates belief. You see, when you take a small action, your brain says, hey, I'm doing it. I'm moving. You feel progress, even if it's tiny. And progress gives you energy. It gives you hope. When you wait for a big goal to happen, you often feel stuck because big goals take time. But when you take a small step, you can see and feel the change immediately. You get a little spark of success. And that spark becomes light. That's what happened to Maya. She didn't start with a plan to be fluent in 6 months. She started with 5 minutes a day. And because of that, she didn't give up. Now, let's pause for a moment. I want you to think about your own English journey. What is one small step you can take today? Maybe it's listening to this story until the end. Maybe it's repeating one sentence out loud. Maybe it's writing down one new word and using it later. Whatever it is, make it small. Make it simple. Because that's how real progress begins. When Maya started her small step journey, she didn't tell anyone. It was her little secret. Every night, she listened to one short English story. Sometimes she repeated the lines softly, sometimes she just listened with her eyes closed. She began to notice things, how words connected, how sentences flowed, how the speaker's voice went up and down. She began to feel English, not just study it. After 1 week, she realized something amazing. She was starting to understand more. The words that used to sound like noise now had meaning. And she felt proud. But of course, the journey wasn't easy every day. Some days she felt tired. Some days she wanted to skip it. And sometimes she thought, what's the point? It's too slow. But then she remembered, small steps matter more than big goals. So, she didn't quit. She told herself, just one step. Just today. And she did it. That's the secret, my friend. Success doesn't come from doing a lot once. It comes from doing a little again and again. Think of water. A small drop of water may look weak. But if it falls on a rock, every single day over time, it makes a hole. Not because it's strong, but because it's consistent. The same is true for you. Even a few minutes of real, focused English every day can change everything if you keep going. Let me tell you what happened next to Maya. One morning at work, her manager asked her to help talk with a client on a short video call. Her heart jumped. Her first thought was, oh no, I can't do this. But then, she remembered her small steps. She remembered how she had been practicing every night. And she told herself, I can try. So she joined the call. She spoke slowly, clearly. She made a few mistakes, but she didn't stop. When the call ended, her manager smiled and said, good job, Maya. You did great. Her hands were shaking, but inside, she was smiling. She couldn't believe it, she had done it. That one call became a new small step. A step toward confidence. A step toward the person she wanted to be. Later that evening, she walked home and looked up at the sky. It was glowing with sunset colors, orange, pink, and gold. She felt peaceful. She realized something important that day. That big goals are not bad, but they can wait. Because the real power is in the steps you take every day. The small, quiet, invisible steps that no one sees, those are the ones that change your life. And maybe, she thought, that's true not only for English, but for everything. For dreams, for relationships, for growth. It's the small steps that build strong roots. Now, my friend, let me ask you something. When was the last time you took a small step? When was the last time you said to yourself, I'll just do 5 minutes, and actually did it? Maybe today is your moment. Because this story, Maya's story, is also your story. Every person who learns something new walks the same path. Step by step. Day by day. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to be perfect to start. You just have to begin. Sometimes, we think success is like a race. We look around and see others running fast, speaking fluently, doing things we can't do yet. We feel small. We feel behind. But the truth is you're not behind. You're just on your own road. And maybe your road is slower, but that's okay. Because slow progress is still progress. Imagine a tree. When you plant the seed, nothing happens for days. You water it, you wait, and still nothing changes. But under the soil, something is happening. Roots are growing. The seed is becoming strong inside. And one day, a small green leaf appears. That's what your small steps do. Even when you can't see the result, your roots are growing. So, here's something I want you to remember today, a sentence that can stay with you when you feel tired. A small step is still a step forward. Say it softly to yourself. Repeat it in your mind. Because it's true. Now, as we move into the next part of our story, I want you to imagine Maya sitting at her desk again, 1 week later. This time, she has her notebook open, her earphones in, and a quiet smile on her face. She doesn't feel afraid anymore. She's curious. She's ready. Because she now knows that even one small step can lead to something big. And what happens next in her journey will surprise you, because one small decision she makes will open a new door, a door that will change how she sees English and herself forever. The next morning, Maya woke up earlier than usual. The city outside was still quiet. She made herself a cup of tea, sat by the window, and opened her notebook. For the first time in months, she felt something new: peace. Not because everything was easy, but because she was moving. She was taking small steps, and that motion made her feel alive. She didn't need to rush anymore. She didn't need to compare herself to anyone. All she had to do was keep walking, one small step at a time. You see, there's something magical about motion. When you move, even just a little, your mind changes. You stop thinking, "I can't," and start thinking, "Maybe I can." That's the hidden power of daily motion. Let's think about it this way. Have you ever tried to push a heavy door that doesn't move at first? You push, and it feels impossible. But then, it moves just a little, and after that, it becomes easier. That's how change works. The hardest part is the beginning. Once you start, everything slowly becomes lighter. Maya didn't know it, but she was changing from the inside. Her small steps were building a habit. Her habit was creating motion. And motion was creating belief. That day, after finishing her tea, she decided to try something new. She opened an English podcast and pressed play. The speaker talked about simple life lessons, about courage, about hope, about learning from mistakes. The voice was calm and friendly. Maya closed her eyes and listened carefully. She didn't understand every word, but she didn't stop to check the dictionary. She just listened to the rhythm, the tone, the emotion. She listened with her heart. After 10 minutes, she smiled. Something felt different. She wasn't just listening to English. She was feeling it. That's when she realized something important. Learning English is not just about studying. It's about connection. It's about movement. It's about small steps that become part of your life. Now, my friend, let me ask you something. How do you practice your English? Do you wait for the perfect time? Do you tell yourself, "I'll start when I have more energy," or "I'll do it when I'm free"? Many people do that. But life doesn't wait. Time passes, days go by, and big goals stay on the list. That's why daily motion matters. Because when you do something small every day, even for 5 minutes, it keeps your dream alive. It tells your brain, "This is who I am. I'm someone who grows." Let me share a secret that successful learners understand deeply. Consistency is more important than intensity. That means it's better to study a little every day than to study a lot once in a while. Because your brain learns best through gentle repetition. When you hear English every day, your brain starts to recognize patterns. It starts to expect sounds, words, and rhythms. Slowly, English becomes more natural, not something you force, but something you feel. Maya didn't realize she was training her brain this way. She just followed her new routine. Every morning, 10 minutes of listening. Every night, one short story. Some days she repeated aloud. Other days she just listened quietly. But she never missed a day. After 2 weeks, she noticed something small but exciting. When she watched a YouTube video in English, she understood more without subtitles. Not everything, but enough to follow the story. Her mind was starting to catch the rhythm. She laughed to herself. Wow, maybe I'm getting better. That little thought gave her energy to continue. It was proof that small steps work. One evening, her friend Lena called. Lena also wanted to learn English, but she often complained that it was too hard. She said, "Maya, I don't know how you do it. I study a lot on weekends, but I forget everything by Monday." Maya smiled and said, "Maybe you should try doing less." Lena laughed. "Doing less? How can that help?" Maya replied softly, "Because small steps are easier to keep. I just listen for 10 minutes a day. That's all. But I do it every day." Lena was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Maybe I'll try that too." That conversation made Maya think deeply. She realized that most people give up not because they're lazy, but because they try to do too much, too fast. They chase big goals, but forget the power of daily motion. It's like running a marathon without training. You get tired after the first kilometer. Maya decided she would never stop her small step routine, no matter what. Even if she was tired, even if she was busy, she would do something, a little listening, a little reading, one short conversation. Because motion, not perfection, was the key. Let's pause here for a moment, my friend. I want you to imagine yourself in Maya's place. Imagine you have a small routine that keeps you connected to English every day. It could be listening to a story like this while you walk, or repeating simple sentences out loud in the mirror. Now imagine doing that for 1 week. Then 1 month. Then 6 months. Can you see it? Can you feel the difference? Your mind becomes faster. Your fear becomes smaller. Your voice becomes stronger. That's the magic of daily motion. And here's something beautiful. You don't need motivation to start every day. You just need a small action. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. When you move, your energy grows. When you sit still, your energy disappears. That's why Maya kept moving even on days she didn't feel like it. One rainy evening, she came home after a long day at work. Her clothes were wet, her bag heavy. She sat on her bed and sighed. She didn't want to do anything, not even open her notebook. She looked at her phone. The English podcast was waiting there. She thought, maybe I'll skip today. But then she remembered something. Her teacher's voice, soft but firm. Small steps matter more than big goals. She smiled a little, pressed play, and listened while lying on her bed. That day, she didn't take notes. She didn't repeat. She just listened. And that was enough. She had done her small step. Her chain of daily motion stayed unbroken. The next morning, she felt proud of herself. Because she realized something powerful. Progress is not about doing a lot when you feel strong. It's about doing a little, even when you don't feel like it. That's true strength. Now, let's take this idea beyond English for a moment. Think about life. Think about any big dream you've ever had: learning an instrument, getting healthy, starting a business, becoming more confident. In every area, the people who succeed are not the ones who do the most once. They are the ones who do a little always. A writer writes 1 page a day. A runner runs for 10 minutes every morning. A learner listens to English while brushing their teeth. It looks small, but it builds something big: discipline, confidence, and momentum. Maya began to understand that this was not only about English. It was about who she was becoming. She was becoming someone who showed up. Someone who didn't wait for perfect moments. Someone who trusted small steps. One Sunday afternoon, she went to a cafe with her notebook. She opened a page and wrote, "Motion is my power." She underlined the sentence twice. It made her smile. She knew it was true. Then, she decided to do something brave. She opened an online English community and wrote a short message introducing herself. Just a few sentences. "Hi, I'm Maya. I'm learning English and I love listening to stories. I'd like to make friends and practice." It was simple, but it took courage. And that one message changed everything. Because the next day, someone replied. His name was Daniel. He was from Brazil, and he was also learning English. They started chatting slowly, carefully, helping each other with words. Every message became practice. Every conversation became a step forward. Maya didn't know it, but her small daily motion had led her to this connection. The reason she had started learning in the first place. And it all began with 5 minutes of listening. Now, my friend, think about your own life again. What small daily motion could change your journey? Maybe it's writing one English sentence every morning. Maybe it's listening to this podcast on your way to work. Maybe it's talking to one person in English each week. Choose one thing. Keep it small. And let it move you. Because motion doesn't just change your language. It changes your mood. It changes your identity. It tells your mind, I'm not stuck. I'm growing. That's what Maya was discovering day by day. She didn't need to be perfect. She just needed to keep moving. As weeks passed, she noticed something new. Her fear of speaking in meetings started to disappear. When someone spoke in English, she didn't panic anymore. She listened, she understood, she even replied slowly but clearly. People at work started to notice. Maya, your English sounds better these days, one colleague said. She blushed a little. Thank you, she replied. It felt good, not because she wanted praise, but because she knew it was true. Her small daily motion was becoming visible, like a flower that finally blooms after quiet growth. That night, she looked at her reflection in the mirror and said softly, I'm proud of you. And for the first time, she really meant it. Soft piano fades in, gentle emotion builds. As you listen to her story, remember, your daily motion doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to exist. Because one small action today is better than one perfect plan tomorrow. When you move, life moves with you. And soon, just like Maya, you'll look back and realize that your small steps have taken you somewhere beautiful. Somewhere you didn't even know you could reach. And that's exactly what will happen next in Maya's journey, because soon, she'll face a moment where all her small steps will be tested. A moment when she'll have to speak in front of people in real time. Will she be ready? Will her daily motion give her the courage she needs? Let's find out in the next part of her story. 3 weeks passed. Maya's small steps had become part of her life. Every morning, she listened to a short English story while getting ready for work. Every evening, she watched a video or practiced short conversations with Daniel. She didn't think too much about results anymore. She just showed up, one day after another. But then, one morning, something unexpected happened. Her manager, Mrs. Kim, walked into the office with a smile. Good morning, everyone, she said. Next Friday, we'll have a small company meeting with our international team. I'll need one of you to share our new project update in English. The room went silent. Maya looked down at her desk. Her heart started to beat faster. She hoped Mrs. Kim wouldn't look at her. But then she heard it, Maya, maybe you could do it. Your English has improved a lot lately. Maya froze. Her first thought was, no, I can't. She wanted to say it out loud. But then she saw Mrs. Kim's kind eyes waiting for her answer. I can try, Maya whispered. The room nodded in approval. Her colleagues smiled. But inside, Maya felt her stomach twist. All day, she couldn't stop thinking about it. A presentation in English. In front of people. Her voice would shake, her mind would go blank, everyone would watch her. She wanted to cancel. But then, that small voice inside her whispered, remember small steps. Still, this step didn't feel small at all. It felt huge. It felt impossible. That evening, she met Daniel online. He noticed her worried face and asked, Hey, what's wrong? She told him about the presentation. He laughed softly and said, Wow, that's great. Great, she repeated. It's terrifying. Daniel smiled. It's scary because it's new. But this is your chance to use what you've been practicing. You've been listening, learning, and speaking. Now it's time to share. Maya sighed. I don't know if I can. Daniel paused and said something that stayed in her heart. Maya, courage is not about not feeling afraid. It's about moving forward even when you are afraid. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, thinking about his words. Maybe he was right. Maybe courage was just another small step, one she hadn't taken yet. So she decided. She would do it. But she would prepare her way, the small step way. The next day, she wrote the main points of her presentation in simple English. She didn't try to sound perfect. She just wanted to be clear. Then she recorded herself reading it aloud. Her voice sounded shaky at first, but she smiled and tried again. Every evening that week, she practiced for 10 minutes. Sometimes while walking around her room, sometimes while brushing her hair in the mirror. On Thursday night, the day before the meeting, she listened to her recording one last time. She caught herself smiling. Her pronunciation wasn't perfect, but her message was strong. She could understand herself clearly. That was enough. The next morning, she woke up early. She took a deep breath, looked in the mirror, and whispered, "You've taken so many small steps, Maya. Today is just another one." Soft heartbeat sound fades under the music, creating tension. At the office, everyone gathered in the meeting room. The big screen was ready, the camera was on, the international team was connected online. Maya felt her palms sweating. Her manager gave her a little nod. "It's your turn," she said. Maya stood up. Her legs felt heavy, but she smiled. She looked at the screen, took a deep breath, and began. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Maya, and today I will share our new project update." Her voice was quiet at first, but steady. As she spoke, she saw a few people nodding. Her words came out slowly but clearly. She remembered what she had practiced: short sentences, simple words, calm breathing. Halfway through, she made a small mistake. Her tongue stumbled over a word. For a second, she panicked. But then she smiled and said softly, "Sorry, I meant to say completed, not competed." Everyone chuckled kindly. She continued. By the time she finished, she could feel her heart racing, but in a good way. She had done it. Her manager clapped. "Excellent work, Maya." That was very clear. After the meeting, Maya sat at her desk, still shaking a little, but smiling from ear to ear. She whispered to herself, "I did it." And then she realized something beautiful. That moment, the one she had feared so much, had not come from nowhere. It had grown out of every small step she had taken before. Every 5-minute story, every short practice, every quiet evening when she didn't give up, they had all prepared her for this day. Her courage didn't appear suddenly. It was built one small step at a time. Later that day, she wrote in her notebook, "Courage grows from small steps." That sentence became her new reminder. Because courage, she understood now, is not a gift you wait for. It's something you create by moving, even when you're scared. Now, my friend, I want you to think about your own test of courage. Maybe it's speaking to someone in English for the first time. Maybe it's recording your voice. Maybe it's joining a class or sharing your ideas at work. It's okay to be afraid. Fear is normal. But fear doesn't mean stop. Fear just means you care. Every time you do something that scares you, you grow. Even if your voice shakes, even if you make mistakes, you are still growing. When you face fear with small steps, something amazing happens. Fear becomes smaller and confidence becomes bigger. That's exactly what Maya discovered. In the days after her presentation, she noticed how much easier it felt to speak. When someone asked her a question in English, she didn't freeze. She answered slowly, but with confidence. And the words came naturally. Her colleagues noticed too. One said, "You looked so calm during the meeting." Maya laughed. Calm? I was terrified inside. But she also knew that she was stronger now. It's funny how courage works. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It grows quietly in moments when no one is watching. Sometimes courage is not standing on a stage or giving a big speech. Sometimes courage is just opening your mouth and saying one sentence in English when you don't feel ready. Sometimes courage is pressing play on a video, even when you think you'll understand nothing. Sometimes courage is not quitting when you feel small. That's real courage, the everyday kind. The quiet kind that keeps you walking forward. One rainy night, Maya was sitting by her window again. The city lights reflected in the drops on the glass. She thought about how much had changed in just 1 month. She still had a long way to go. Her English was not perfect, but her fear was gone. And in its place was something stronger, peace. She smiled and whispered, "It's working." Then, she picked up her notebook and wrote 3 short sentences. Small steps create motion. Motion creates courage. Courage creates change. She underlined them and closed the notebook. She felt proud, but also curious. What would happen next? What new step could she take? She opened her laptop and searched for online English discussion groups. She found one called English Explorers, where people from different countries met every weekend to talk about topics like travel, dreams, and self-improvement. Without thinking too much, she clicked join. The next Saturday, she joined her first group chat. Her hands were shaking, her camera was off. The host said, "Hi everyone, welcome." Maya listened to people introduce themselves from Brazil, Turkey, Japan, Egypt, Spain. When it was her turn, she took a deep breath and said, "Hello, my name is Maya. I'm from Korea. I'm happy to be here." Her voice was soft, but steady. Everyone smiled and said, "Welcome, Maya." And in that moment, she felt something special, connection. The fear melted away. She realized that everyone in the group was just like her, learners, dreamers, people taking small steps. After the meeting, she laughed with joy. It was another step, another victory. Now, let me tell you a secret about courage and growth. It's not about one big moment. It's about how you handle the small moments that test you. The times when you could say no, but you choose to say yes. The times when you feel fear, but you move anyway. That's when transformation begins. That's when your story starts to shine. Maya's journey was far from over. But now she had something she didn't have before: belief. Belief that her small steps could take her anywhere. Belief that fear was not a wall, but a door she could open. And soon, life was about to give her a new opportunity, one that would take her small steps beyond her city, beyond her comfort zone, and into the world. It would begin with a message, one email that would change her path completely. Sometimes, the hardest thing to do is not the first step, but the next one. Think about it. The first step feels exciting. You feel energy. You feel hope. You say, "This time, I will change my life." But then, after a few days, that excitement begins to fade. You wake up and feel a little tired. You forget why you started. The voice inside you begins to whisper, "Does this really matter? Maybe I should stop." That's what happened to Anna. Remember her? She had started her small English habit, just 10 minutes of listening and speaking each day. In the beginning, she felt proud. But after 1 week, she had a long day at school. She came home, threw her bag on the bed, and sighed. "I'll study tomorrow," she said. 1 day became 2. Then 3. Suddenly, she realized she had not practiced for almost a week. She felt disappointed. The old voice returned. "See? You can't even keep a small habit. You will never improve." But that evening, something small happened. She got a message from her friend who said, "Hey, I watched an English video today, and I remembered you said you were learning too. How's it going?" Anna felt a little embarrassed. She didn't want to say, "I stopped." So instead, she opened YouTube and listened to one short video. Just 5 minutes. It wasn't much. But when she finished, she felt something. A small light inside. She smiled. At least I did it, she thought. I took one step. That night, she wrote in her notebook, even a 5-minute step is still a step. The next day, she practiced again, not because she had to, but because she wanted to keep that light alive. Now let me ask you this. How many times have you stopped something because you thought it didn't matter anymore? Maybe you missed one day of practice and you thought, I failed. But what if that's not true? What if missing a day doesn't matter at all, as long as you take the next step again? The truth is, success is not about never stopping. It's about starting again, again, and again. Every time you choose to begin again, you grow stronger. Imagine walking up a hill. Sometimes you get tired. You sit down, drink some water, and rest. That's okay. But you don't stay there forever. You stand up and take the next step. That's what makes you reach the top. When you learn English or anything, it's the same. You don't have to be perfect every day. You just have to come back. You just have to take that next step. And every time you do, you prove something powerful to yourself, that you are stronger than the voice that says, stop. Let's take a moment now. Close your eyes if you can. Think of one goal you had, maybe learning English, maybe something else. Did you stop? Did you pause? It's okay. Everyone does. But right now, imagine yourself taking the next step again. What does it feel like? Maybe your steps are small. Maybe your voice shakes a little when you speak English. That's okay too. Small steps, shaky voices, they are signs that you are moving. Because when you move, even slowly, you are alive. You are growing. So, next time you feel like giving up, remember Anna. Remember her 5-minute video. Remember how that small action brought back her energy. You don't need a big plan. You just need one small step today. And maybe that next small step will be the one that changes everything. As we move into the next part of our story, we'll see what happens when Anna keeps going. When small steps begin to build something bigger than she ever imagined. Because sometimes, the real magic doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens quietly, step by step, day by day, as your story begins to change. Growth is a strange thing. Sometimes it feels invisible. You do the work, you take the steps, but nothing seems to change. You look in the mirror, listen to yourself speak, and think, why am I still the same? But growth doesn't always show itself right away. It hides like a seed under the ground, waiting for the right time to appear. Anna didn't know this yet. Every day, she followed her small routine. She listened to a short English video, repeated a few sentences, and tried to understand more and more. She didn't study for hours. She didn't memorize lists of words. She just kept showing up. But after a few weeks, she began to feel frustrated again. She was sitting in her room, looking at her notebook full of words. Why am I still slow? She thought. Why do I still make mistakes? Her voice sounded tired. She wanted to feel progress, but she couldn't see it. That evening, she went for a walk. The air was cool. The streetlights were glowing softly. As she walked past a small garden near her house, she noticed something, tiny green leaves breaking through the soil. She smiled. A few weeks ago, there was nothing there. Just brown dirt. But now, new life was growing quietly, unseen until this moment. She stopped and whispered to herself, maybe I'm like that plant. Every day she had been watering her English, giving it sunlight through small habits, even when she couldn't see anything. Maybe her growth was happening quietly, too, deep inside her brain, deep inside her confidence. You see, the brain is like that soil. When you practice English every day, you are planting new words, new sounds, new ways of thinking. You may not see results right away, but your mind is changing. Slowly, silently, beautifully. Maybe one day, you listen to someone speaking English and suddenly understand a sentence you couldn't before. Or maybe someone asks you a question and you answer without thinking too much. That's when you realize the growth has been happening all along. Anna began to understand this truth. She decided to keep her focus not on how fast she was improving, but on how consistently she was showing up. Every small step was a drop of water for her English garden. One day, something unexpected happened. Her teacher asked her to help a new student who had just joined the class. The student spoke very little English and was nervous. Anna smiled and said slowly, "Don't worry, I can help you." At that moment, she realized something powerful. She wasn't just learning English anymore, she was using it. It wasn't perfect. Her sentences were simple. But her confidence was real. And that confidence came from all those small, hidden steps she had taken when no one was watching. You see, real progress often grows in silence. It grows when you keep practicing, even when you think you're not improving. It grows when you keep trying, even when you can't see results yet. So, if you ever feel stuck, remember the garden. Remember that every small practice, every short video, every sentence you speak, it all matters. You are planting seeds. You are building something that will bloom when the time is right. Sometimes, we just need patience to see our own progress. Take a deep breath. You are growing even now. And soon, like Anna, you'll start to see how those invisible steps become visible, not in your words alone, but in your courage, your confidence, and your belief in yourself. Because small steps don't just change what you do. They change who you become. It was a rainy morning. The sound of water hitting the window filled Anna's room. She sat at her desk, a cup of tea beside her, listening to another short English video. The voice from her phone spoke softly, "Believe in your small steps." She smiled. Those words felt familiar, like they belonged to her own journey. As she repeated the phrases aloud, she noticed something. Her words were coming out more smoothly. She wasn't translating from her native language in her head anymore. She was thinking in English, just a little, but enough to feel different. She paused the video, looked out the window, and whispered, "It's working." That was her turning point. Not a big event, not a test result or a certificate, just a quiet moment when she realized that her small steps were becoming something bigger. The next week, something else happened. Her teacher announced that their class would have a short presentation day. Each student had to talk for 3 minutes about any topic they liked in English. The room filled with nervous energy. Some students groaned. Others whispered, 3 minutes? That's too long. Anna felt her heart race. She remembered how scared she used to be speaking in front of people. The last time she tried, her voice had shaken and her hands had trembled. But this time felt different. She had been speaking out loud every day. She had been practicing her pronunciation slowly, step by step. Maybe she could do it. Maybe she didn't need to be perfect, just brave. That evening, she stood in front of her mirror and began to prepare. "I'll talk about small steps," she said with a smile. "Because that's my story." She practiced for 10 minutes, then 15. She made mistakes, forgot words, laughed at herself, and started again. Each time, she improved a little. Her voice became more natural, her smile more confident. Finally, presentation day arrived. The classroom was bright and full of quiet whispers. When it was her turn, Anna stood up, took a deep breath, and began. "At first, I didn't believe small steps could change anything," she said. "I thought only big goals mattered. But now I know that every small step counts." Her classmates listened closely. She shared her journey, how she started with just 10 minutes a day, how she almost gave up, how she learned to trust the process. She spoke slowly, clearly, and from the heart. When she finished, the room was silent for a second, and then applause. Her teacher smiled proudly. "Well done, Anna," she said. "You've grown so much." Anna sat down, her heart still beating fast, but this time with joy, not fear. She realized that her small steps had not only improved her English, but had changed how she saw herself. And that's the beauty of small steps. They don't just help you reach your goal, they help you become the kind of person who keeps going, no matter how far you still have to go. At that moment, Anna understood something deep. Big change is just the result of many small steps that refuse to stop. Her story shows us something powerful, that you don't need to do everything at once. You don't need to be fluent tomorrow. You just need to take the next small step today. So, if you're learning English right now, remember this moment. Every word you listen to, every sentence you speak, every small action, it's building something bigger than you think. You might not see it yet, but you are changing. Your confidence, your voice, your rhythm, they're all growing quietly, waiting for their turning point too. And when it comes, you'll look back and realize, every small effort mattered. Every short practice session counted. Every time you didn't give up, you were building your story. Keep going. Keep taking those steps. Because one day, you'll stand where Anna stood, not as someone who's still learning, but as someone who can say proudly, I did it. Sometimes, when we look back on our journey, we see things more clearly. The small choices, the quiet moments, the days that felt ordinary, they all come together like pieces of a puzzle. And that's exactly what Anna began to realize after her presentation. A few days later, she was walking home, her backpack light, her heart even lighter. She thought about how far she had come. It wasn't just about learning English anymore. It was about something deeper, the kind of person she had become because of those small steps. She remembered the early mornings when she didn't want to practice, but still opened her notebook. She remembered the evenings when she felt tired, but still listened to one short video. Those moments didn't feel big at the time. But now she could see that each one was a building block, shaping her confidence, her patience, and her belief in herself. When she first started, she thought learning English was about studying hard, about pushing herself to do more, faster. But now she understood something important. Learning is not a race. It's a relationship with yourself. It's a conversation between who you are now and who you're becoming. Every small step she took had taught her a lesson. When she practiced listening, she learned patience. When she spoke out loud, even when afraid, she learned courage. When she made mistakes, she learned humility. When she started again after stopping, she learned strength. And that's the beautiful secret about small steps. They don't just take you somewhere, they transform you along the way. Anna sat on a bench near the park where she used to walk when she was tired or unsure. The trees were full now. The small green leaves she once saw had grown big and strong. She smiled. Just like me, she whispered. She realized that the same way nature grows slowly and quietly, people do too. Every small effort, every simple practice, every kind thought toward yourself, it's all part of growth. She opened her notebook and wrote a few lines. Big goals tell you where you want to go. Small steps take you there. And the person you become while walking, that's the real success. Then she closed her notebook and looked up at the sky. The sun was setting, painting everything gold. It reminded her of all the endings that were actually new beginnings. She thought about all the people who might be on their own English journey right now, people like you, listening to this story, wondering if small steps are enough. She wanted to tell them, yes, they are. They always are. Because even when you feel slow, even when you can't see progress, even when you think you're not good enough, you're still moving. And movement, no matter how small, means you're alive, you're trying, you're growing. That's what learning English and life is really about. Not being perfect, not reaching the top quickly, but walking with heart, with patience, with faith in small beginnings. So now, I want to ask you something. What is your small step today? Maybe it's listening to this story. Maybe it's repeating one new word. Maybe it's writing one simple sentence. Whatever it is, it matters. It's part of your story. And as you keep taking those steps, you'll notice something wonderful. Your English will grow, yes, but so will your courage, your curiosity, and your connection to the world. You'll begin to see that the power of small steps isn't just about success. It's about who you become while taking them, more confident, more patient, more kind to yourself. And one day, you'll look back, just like Anna did, and say, I didn't do it all at once. I did it one small step at a time. That's the magic of your journey. It's not about speed, it's about direction. It's not about how far you go in one day, but how deeply you keep walking, even when it's hard. Because every word, every thought, every effort, it's shaping you into the person who can say, with quiet pride, I kept going. So here we are, the end of the story, but maybe the beginning of yours. You've listened to Anna's journey, her doubts, her mistakes, her small victories, and her quiet transformation. But this story isn't really about Anna. It's about you. It's about anyone who has ever dreamed of improving, of growing, of becoming more confident in English and in life. Let's take a deep breath together. In and out. You made it this far. You listened. You imagined. You reflected. That means you already took a step, the first one. Maybe you started listening because you wanted to improve your English. Maybe you wanted to understand stories more easily. Or maybe you just wanted to feel inspired again. Whatever your reason, you showed up. And that's where all success begins, with showing up. You see, small steps have power because they are real. Big dreams can feel far away, but small actions bring them close. Every time you listen to English, every time you speak a few sentences, every time you try again after stopping, you are building something that will last. The truth is, you don't need to do everything at once. You don't need to be fluent next month. You just need to be a little better today than you were yesterday. That's it. If you practice for 10 minutes today, that's enough. If you listen to one short story tomorrow, that's enough. If you make one mistake and learn from it, that's more than enough. Because all those tiny steps, they add up. They create a rhythm, a flow, a journey that belongs only to you. And on this journey, remember one more thing. There will be days when you don't feel motivated. Days when you don't see progress. Days when you wonder if it's worth it. When those days come, I want you to remember this story. Remember Anna standing in front of her class, smiling, speaking English with courage. Remember the small plant that grew quietly under the soil. Remember that every small effort counts, even when you can't see it. So, keep walking. Keep learning. Keep believing that small steps matter, because they do. You are not in a race. You are in a journey. And your journey is beautiful. It's unique. It's yours. Now, before we finish, I want you to say something out loud with me. Ready? Every small step I take is moving me forward. Say it again, slowly. Every small step I take is moving me forward. That's your truth now. Keep it close. When you wake up tomorrow, think of one small step you can take for your English. Maybe listening to this story again. Maybe writing down 5 new words. Maybe recording your voice for 1 minute. Whatever it is, do it with love, with patience, and with pride. Because every time you take that step, you are not just learning English, you are becoming someone stronger, more confident, and more open to the world. And that's what Fluent English Journey is all about, helping you build confidence, one story, one word, one small step at a time. So, thank you for walking this path with me today. Thank you for listening, for feeling, for believing. Remember, your story is still being written. Keep turning the pages with small, steady steps. Because one day, when you look back, you'll smile and say, I didn't rush. I didn't stop. I just kept going. And that made all the difference. Until next time, my friend, keep listening, keep speaking, and keep believing in the power of your small steps.